Well, good morning, boys and girls. Miss Morgan here with my coffee, tuning in for some Maniac Magee. Got our book ready to read. It's a gorgeous day out, so of course I'm on my little patio. Maybe I'll show you guys. Do you want to see my patio? You can see where Miss Morgan's been hanging out. I'll show you. Here is my patio. Lenny over there getting a snooze in. My backyard, got my setup here. Couch over there. Here's my nice little patio. If you can see the backyard, it's a gorgeous, gorgeous day. Psych back up here. Okay. That is my home. I want to share my life with you because I miss you guys like crazy. It is, we are back at it. Yesterday read, Monday, today's Tuesday. We are back at it with Maniac Magee reading. We're off of spring break. No more snoozing, sleeping in, although we're probably all snoozing and sleeping in. But I'm excited to be with you guys today to continue to read. The only updates that I have for you is I've created a class seesaw and I've sent out the instructions on Remind to get you set up on that. So if you've not got set up on Seesaw, go make your account. It tells you exactly how to do it on Remind. Have mom and dad help you if you need, or a parent guardian, who's ever taking care of you, have them help you set it up. You use your school email and passwords. So it's really easy, and we'll set up a Zoom meeting as soon as I have some more information on that. But get yourself on our class Seesaw account. And I noticed not a lot of you have signed up for Epic. Make sure you sign up for Epic too. Those instructions are on Remind as well. We're going to read today. Last chapter we read was chapter 35. Maniac is with the McNabs. And he's staying with them, and Piper and Russell are the two younger brothers. That's who we met. Those are John McNab's little brothers, and their house is really, really not in good shape. Maniac was there, lots of cockroaches. He thought they were raisins, if you remember. And they were cockroaches and lots of gross trash everywhere. It's not a great place for them to be. So we'll see how long Maniac lasts at the McNabs. Chapter 36. The deal was, if Russell and Piper went to school for the rest of the week, Maniac would show them the shortcut to Mexico on Saturday. He figured if they'd all managed to survive till then, he'd come up with something. On Saturday, the boys had their paper bags packed, and Maniac had a new deal. Go to school for another week, and he'd treat them to another large pizza. Besides, he said, crossing his fingers, this was volcano season down in Mexico. The whole place was a sheet of red-hot lava. Better wait till it cools down. They bought it. And they bought the same deal the following week. But school was still agony for the boys, and it had to be worth more than a pizza a week. But what? The brothers thought about it, and soon began to realize that the answer was sleeping between them every night. Ever since the famous Maniac Magee had showed up at their house, Russell and Piper McNab had become famous in their own right. Other kids were always crowding around, pelting them with questions. What's he like? What's he say? What's he do? Did he really sit on Finsterwald's front steps? Is he really that fast? Kids started giving them knots, sneaker laces, yo-yo strings, toys, and saying, ask Maniac to undo this, will ya? Really little kids refer to him as Mr. Maniac. The McNabs ate it up. In the streets, the playground, school, the attention, not the pizza, was the reason they put up with school every day. They began to feel something they had never felt before. They had began to feel important. What a wonderful thing, this importance, waiting for them the moment they awoke in the morning, pumping them up like basketballs, giving them bounce. And they hadn't even had to steal it. They loved it. The more they had it, the more they wanted. And so when Maniac tried to cut the next pizza for school deal, Russell answered no. No, echoed Maniac, who had been afraid it would come to this. No, said Russell, we want something else. Oh, said Maniac. What's that? They told him if he wanted another week's worth of school out of them, he would have to enter Finsterwald's backyard and stay there for 10 minutes, screeched Piper, who shuddered at the very thought. When Maniac casually answered, okay, it's a deal, Piper ran shrieking from the house. On the next Saturday morning, Russell and Piper and Maniac set out for Finsterwald's house, about 7 blocks away. They took the alleys, and along the way, they were joined by other kids who were waiting, their eyes at once fearful and excited. By the time they got to Finsterwald's backyard, at least 15 kids huddled against the garage door on the far side of the alley. Maniac didn't hesitate. He walked straight up to the back gate, opened it, and went in. Not only that, he went all the way to the center of the yard, turned, folded his arms, smiled, then called, "Who's keeping time?" Russell, his throat too dry to speak, raised his hand. For 10 minutes, 15 kids, and possibly the universe, held their breath. The only sounds was inside their head, the moaning and wailing of ghosts and all the poor slobs who had ever blundered onto Finster-Wall's property. To the utter amazement of all, when Russell finally croaked, "Time!" Maniac Magee was still there, alive, smiling, apparently unharmed. Even more amazing, he didn't come out. Instead, he said, "Say, you guys, how about adding to the deal? If I do something else while I'm here, will you make it the next 2 weeks at school?" "What are you going to do?" stammered Russell. Maniac thought for a minute, then announced brightly, "I'll knock on the front door." 5 kids Finster-Wallied on the spot. Several others screamed, "No, don't!" Piper went into some sort of fit and began kicking the garage door. Russell zoned out. They panicked. Maniac took all of this to signify a deal. He hopped to the backyard fence and strolled around front. The others went back down the alley and around the long way. They stationed themselves not only at the street, but almost halfway up the block, and even then they squeezed together in a bunch, as though if they allowed any space between them, Finster-Wall might somehow pick them off one by one. They huddled, trembling, to bear witness to the last seconds of Maniac Magee's life. They saw him stand directly in front of the red brick 3-story house and the bile green window shades. They saw him climb 3 cement steps to the white door, the portal of death. They saw him raise his hand, and though they were too far away to hear, they saw him knock upon the door, and 15 hearts beat at the same time to the silent knocking. The door opened. Finster-Wall's door opened. Not much, but enough so witnesses could make out a thin strip of blackness. Would Maniac be sucked into the black hole like so much lint into the vacuum cleaner? Would Finster-Wall's long, bony hand dart out quick like a lizard tongue and snatch poor Maniac? Maniac appeared to be speaking to the dark crack. Was he pleading for his life? Would his last words be skewered like a marshmallow by Finster-Wall's dagger-tipped canes? Apparently not. The door closed. Maniac bounded down the steps and came jogging toward them, grinning. 3 kids bolted, sure he was a ghost. The others stayed. They invented excuses to touch him, to see if he was still himself, still warm, but they weren't positively certain until later, when they watched him devour a pack of butterscotch crimpets. We'll read chapter 37 because it's pretty short. Thus began a series of heroic feats by Maniac. At 20 paces, he hit a telephone pole with a stone 61 times in a row. When the once-a-week freight train hit Elm Street, he started running from Oriole Street, dead end, on one rail and beat the train to the park. No sweat. He took off his sneaks and socks and walked nonchalant, as you please, through the rat-infested dump at the foot of Raco Hill. The mysterious hole down by the creek, the one you would never reach into even if you dropped your most valuable possession into it. He stuck his hand in it, his arm in it, all the way to the elbow, kept it in there for the longest 60 seconds on record and pulled it out dirty, but still full of fingers. He climbed the fence at the American bison pen at the zoo. He had suggested this feat himself. Everyone else scoffing, and while the mother looked on, kissed the baby buffalo. So it went through February and March of that year, a feat a week. To much of the town, hearing about these things, it was simply a case of the legend adding to itself, doing what legends do. To Russell and Piper McNabb, it was a case of boosting their importance ever higher in the eyes of the other kids. Was it not the brothers' direction that Maniac performed these deeds? And who, after all, is more amazing, the lion or the tamer? As for Maniac, he understood early on that he was being used for the greater glory of Piper and Russell. He also understood that without him, they would not be going to school every day. For the McNabbs, there was nothing free about public education. A tuition had to be paid. Every week, Maniac paid it. And besides, he loved to meet challenges they cooked up for him. And one day, they gave him the most perilous challenge of all. They dared him to go into the East End. Let's see, we got chapter 38. That's a pretty long chapter. We're getting pretty close to the end of the book, guys. We will pause there. You know, the McNabbs seem to have this idea cooked up in their head that the East End and the West End really at odds. They want to fight them. And so they dared Maniac to go into the East End. But he's doing all these things so that Piper and Russell will stay in school. So tune in with us tomorrow. Chapter 38. Tomorrow we're at 36 and 37 today. Make sure you get signed up for Seesaw. and you sign up for Epic, and make sure you write Miss Morgan that letter. I got one letter back out to Sydney. Shout out to Sydney. Thanks for writing me that letter. Make sure you guys get that, and we'll get a Zoom meeting set up here soon. Cheers to you guys. Hopefully you're in your jammies, on your couch, not drinking your coffee, although I do know some of you drink your coffee. Trenton drinks coffee. Make sure you are tuning in with me tomorrow and staying caught up as best you can. Don't melt your brains on video games. Get outside, play, do something crazy today. Have a great day, change lives, and go Mountains.